Hi, I'm Trisha Bear from the Culinary Command Post, and today I'm going to show you how to make chicken and vegetable soup. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put about a cup of, or actually 24 ounces of chicken broth into a saucepan. And then we're going to add our water, which is half a cup of water. And we're going to turn it on high so that it can start to boil. Once it boils, we're going to let it simmer for 5 minutes, and then we're going to add in our melted butter and also 5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour that I've already sifted. And we're also going to put in, with the chicken broth and water, we're going to add our minced garlic in here. You can add it in now or later, and you can add onions in here if you wanted to. I'm going to use fried onions at the end, so I'm not going to add the regular onions here. So basically I'm trying to get it to boil for, once it gets boiling, about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to add in my melted butter and my 5 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to whisk it in. And then I'll add in my heavy cream. 2 cups of heavy cream and 2 cups of half and half, which half and half is basically half heavy cream and half milk. That's all half and half is. So if you don't have half and half, that's all it is. You just need milk and heavy cream. And then we're going to use these hash brown potatoes that you get from the freezer section. And then I also cut up about 5 russet potatoes because they hold together longer. And then these also have peppers and onions in them with these potatoes. But we're going to do that at the end. We're waiting for that to boil. I am going to add a can of baby corn, about a cup of peas and carrots, and then half of a container of this sour cream ranch dip. And then what I did is I got a rotisserie chicken from Walmart, and I shredded it up, and then I marinated it in the garlic butter overnight. And then I just added like the kickin' chicken seasoning and the pepper to that. So that should be it. And then I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper when we get to the end. Once it starts boiling, I'll let it boil for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to add in my melted butter, which that's garlic butter that I'm going to add, and then 5 tablespoons of flour. If you haven't heard of neurolumen, it's a device that helps veterans deal with pain or even civilians. And the VA does have the neurolumen that the veterans can take home, but you have to go to the VA hospital in Muskogee 3 times in order for them to give you your own machine, your neurolumen machine to take home. And it costs, just for that device and a couple pads, is about $1,000. And then if you add more pads to it, it goes up to $3,000. So the VA will give you whatever pads that they think you need, and then they will also replace those pads also. So it's 3 types of therapy in one. It's electrotherapy, laser therapy, and infrared light therapy. So it's 3 different types of therapy in one device. Okay, it looks like our chicken broth is starting to boil. So we're just going to let it boil for about 5 minutes. Okay, and once it gets to a boil after 5 minutes, you can go ahead and turn it down. After you let it simmer for 5 minutes, you can turn it down and then stir in your flour slowly. So I'm going to turn it down to about medium low. And I'm going to add in our butter and then our flour. That's the butter. Now I'm going to add in the 5 tablespoons of flour, but I'm going to add it a little bit at a time and stir it in. Because this is like a roux. It's what thickens the soup, so definitely don't leave this out. Flour or roux is just basically flour in a fat source. It could be butter, it could be other fat sources, but that's all a roux is when you're trying to make soup or sauce. And be sure to check back in December on my new sauce shows. I'm going to show you how to make all kinds of different sauces, from Alfredo sauce to tomato sauce, all kinds of different sauces. Our show comes out every Sunday at 2 o'clock, the Culinary Cooking channel. It doesn't cost you anything to watch, so please share that information with your friends and family. I'm a chef. I graduated from OSUIT in 2022. Okay, so I got the flour in, I've got the chicken broth in, the water. I did put the minced onions already in. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add the salt and pepper and the half and half in the heavy cream. So it's just 1/2 a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, and then I'm going to add in 2 cups of half and half, which is heavy cream and milk. Half heavy cream and half milk. And we're just going to cook that mixture together until it's bubbly. And then we're going to add our chopped rotisserie chicken, which I've already chopped up, a rotisserie chicken. And I put some kicking chicken in there. I actually put smoked paprika in there. And then I actually marinated the rotisserie chicken in melted garlic butter. Any meat, really, if you marinate it in butter or buttermilk, then it's going to give it a better flavor and be tender. Once it starts bubbling, then I'm going to add in our vegetables and our chicken, rotisserie chicken. I'm also going to add in about 1 cup of this creamy ranch dip, which I use this a lot because I really like the flavor. To me, it's the best dip there is out there besides homemade dip. It's almost like homemade dip. And when you get the hash browns from the freezer section, make sure that it has the onions and peppers in it. That'll give you more flavor, and it'll already be cut up. I'm going to turn the heat up to about medium-high so it'll start bubbling. If you have any veterans that need help with VA claim paperwork or VA benefits, have them give me a call because I'm a veteran service officer for the DAV in Henrietta, and I also work for the VFW as far as Feed the Vets goes and different other projects that we do. But for paperwork, I represent the DAV, and I'll be glad to help them fill out their paperwork, and it doesn't cost them anything. Even for spouses, if they want to apply for DIC, which is Dependent Indemnity Compensation, it's about $1,628 a month. If they're eligible for that, I'd be glad to help them fill out that paperwork. Now, once we add all these vegetables, the thing we're going to be waiting on is to make sure the potatoes are cooked thoroughly. So you want to cook it on low. Once it starts bubbling, you can put it on low because you want especially the potatoes, you want them to get done before the soup gets done. You don't want the soup to burn. Okay, it's almost getting to where it's bubbling. And I did drain the baby corn because all vegetables, if it's canned, they're going to put a ton of salt in it. So I went ahead and drained those out. Okay, so it's just now starting to bubble. So I'm going to go ahead and put in our vegetables. About 1 cup of peas and carrots. 1 can of baby corn. And I'm going to go ahead and put in our potatoes first and give them time to cook, and then I'll add in the chicken last. Get that open bigger. And you can just use these frozen potatoes, but they don't stay together like russet potatoes do. So that's why I added a few of those to make sure we have enough potatoes in here. Okay, so that's the potatoes, and I'm going to drain my potatoes because I had them on water so they wouldn't turn brown. So I'm just going to drain them real fast. Alright, and then we're going to add them to our vegetable and potato soup. And if you do this recipe, make sure that you use a bigger pot. This pot will work for this, but I should have used a bigger pot because I haven't even added my chicken in yet. So I'll add it at the end after the potatoes have had time to cook. Since the chicken's already rotisserie chicken, it's already cooked. So, all right, then we're going to add in about 1 cup of the Daisy sour cream ranch dip. Now I'm going to turn it down to about medium high just to cook the potatoes so the soup itself don't burn before my potatoes get done. And if you have a wooden spoon, that will help your mixture from over boiling, and I'll show you how that works. Let me grab one right here. So if you just put it across the pan like that, it won't boil over. Something to do with the wood in the spoon makes it not boil over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that cook a minute, and I'm going to put part of it in this pan so that I can add my chicken. So if you don't have a huge pot at home bigger than this, I would use 2 saucepans. And that's what we're going to do on this. Let me get my ladle. And we're just going to add part of it to there. That way it cooks faster, number one, and we'll have room to add our chicken. This is basically chicken and vegetable soup with potatoes, baby corn, carrots, and peas. Alright, so I'll turn on the back burner to about medium. Alright, so now we got enough room to add our chicken. Rotisserie chicken that I marinated in garlic butter. Alright, so we're going to put half up front and half in the back. And you can add this smoky mesquite seasoning to that as well, which I'm going to do. About a tablespoon. Okay, I'm going to move them on medium high to try to get the potatoes done. You don't want to put it on too high because you don't want the soup to burn before you get the potatoes done. And you can boil the potatoes ahead of time if you wanted to, and then put them in to speed up the process. But we're going to let them boil in this sauce. Okay, now we're just waiting for our potatoes to get done to add our garnish, which is going to be the bacon bits, the fried onions, and the smoked Gouda and sour cream. Okay, so our soup's been boiling for about 20 minutes, so we're just going to add a little bit of the fried onions on top, and then they'll be ready to serve. gonna mix them in actually. And that's basically how you make the chicken and vegetable soup, which had potatoes, peas, carrots, and little baby corns in it. You can put whatever vegetables you want. But that's basically how you make it. Thank you for watching.